What's up guys, my name is Kalen. Today on the King Games we're going to be doing another head-to-head comparison of two very similar seeming blasters. The Xshot Clipmania, which just came out, and the Adventure Force Spectrum by Dart Zone, which came out a few years ago. There is a slight price difference between these two, and they did come out quite a bit apart. So does price equal performance? Is there newer technology in this one than there is in this one? I wasted my money on both to find out, so that you don't have to. Let's see how they stack up. Now, if you've been down the toy aisle in your local Walmart recently, then you've probably seen one or both of these blasters. And if you're wondering which one of these you should get for yourself or as a gift for someone else, then this is the video for you. Because we're going to pit these blasters against each other in 6 different categories. Price, how hard they hit, how accurately they shoot, the accessories and compatibility, the ergonomics and aesthetics, so basically how good it feels and looks when you're using it. Of course, last but not least, mod potential. And at the end, I'm going to tell you which one of these blasters I think is the overall winner. But before we can do that, let's properly introduce our contenders and what comes in the box with them. Starting with the Spectrum. The Spectrum is a Walmart exclusive, and this is a mag-fed, semi-auto, electric flywheel blaster. And it retails currently for $20. Now it did come out a couple years ago, and when it first came out it was a little bit more, but this $20 price tag is the new permanent price of this blaster.
Nice.
But there is on Amazon a bundle directly from Dart Zone, which is the manufacturer, that comes with the blaster, extra darts, extra mags, and Dart Zone logos instead of the Adventure Force logos. But it is the same blaster. If that bundle interests you, I'll leave a link down in the description. As for what comes in the box, you get the blaster itself. We've got a Nerf and Strike adjacent rail. We've also got our rev trigger, our firing trigger, our magazine release, a nice little cutout here in the mag well, this bulge here where the flywheels go.
What did he say?
A jam door on the other side, and then of course your battery tray, which takes 6 AA batteries if you remove this screw here. It also has a proprietary stock attachment point that works with the stock it came with. This stock comes in 2 parts. Underneath you've got the adjustable faux buffer tube, accompanied by the actual stock itself. Cool thing is this is a quick release stock, so you can grab it and go from your very most compressed position to your very most extended position without it flying off the blaster. But there are several positions that you can adjust to in between. And once you have the stock on here, you have 2 sling attachment points if you'd like to attach a sling.
Skill issue.
Speaking of attachments, you've also got this foregrip, slides onto this faux Picatinny here and can go into 2 positions. It can be folded away to be a vertical, or it can be folded back and you can have a vertical position. It also comes with this scope. It also comes with a 10-round full-length magazine, as well as 10 of these Adventure Force waffle darts. Now, this magazine is actually not the original one from it. This is from a different blaster, probably the Vulcanator, if I remember correctly. And I can't seem to find my original 10-round mag that came with this, but besides the capacity, this is exactly the same as it would be. Now, let's talk about the Clipmania. This is the Xshot Insanity Series Clipmania. And this is the first ever magazine-fed, semi-auto, flywheel-powered blaster that Xshot's ever made.
Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah!
You will be able to find it in Walmart or Target, but being as this blaster is extremely new, it hasn't been rolled out everywhere. So if you're trying to get it right now, you can also get it on Amazon for the exact same price as it is everywhere else, with 2-day shipping, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description as well. Now let's look at what the blaster comes with. Inside the box you get the blaster itself. Just like the Adventure Force Spectrum, it doesn't really have any paint on the blaster. However, this one does have a sticker logo, and it more relies on the separation of the mold colors. The design in the back is very sleek, while the front has a lot more angular parts to it. You can see that the flywheels are placed right here due to the bulge on the side of the blaster.
What do you mean by that?
We also have a faux standard Picatinny rail. You have that here on both sides, as well as underneath where there'd be a foregrip, as well as on top for optics. It doesn't come with any optics, but it does come with some attachments. You also have the rev trigger here, the firing trigger, and of course the magazine release. If you flip it over to the other side, you also have a jam door right here, and it's pretty much similar placement as the Spectrum. And you have a battery door right here that also takes 6 AA batteries, but with 2 screws instead of 1. When we move to the back, we've got an end strike attachment point, the same as any of your older Nerf blasters would have. But they also include a stock for this one. This one is also a 2-part one, which has a standard-esque buffer tube, and of course a stock to go along with it. This one also has that quick release feature, as well as multiple positions. It also comes with not 1, not 2, but 3 15-round magazines. Damn! It also comes with 72 of these XShot air pocket darts. Plus it comes with an extra dart holder, which allows you to store loose darts. Technically it's designed to only go in the center ones, but you can flip the orientation. And when you have this thing on, you can hold 20 extra darts. There's 21 slots, but one of them is taken up by this little peg here. You also get 2 of these Picatinny-like mag holders, and they get placed on either side. That way you can throw your mags and one on that side, making for a lot of storage capacity. On top of that, the actual holders have a faux Picatinny on them themselves, so you can still get your attachments on if you use them. And although it might look a little silly, you could actually technically chain them together, though I'm not sure I recommend that. In addition to that, there's also this mag connector piece, which you can do 2 things with. One, you could create like a jungle mag style situation, which would be very unwieldy. But you could flip it over, have your darts full. But also, if you have other blasters from the Insanity series, you can actually connect this with a female to female connector and put it on the blaster like this. However, this blaster doesn't seem to come with that connector, which is kind of unfortunate because it could be used with the accessories they gave you and not just with the other blasters. And all of this retails for only $25 US. Like, that's a lot of stuff. Now, although the price of these 2 blasters is very close, $25 and $20 respectively, the Spectrum technically wins this category. It is $5 cheaper.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Now that we've seen what comes in the box and talked about the price of each blasters, let's see how hard these guys shoot. Now, to make this test completely fair, what we're going to do is we're going to test each blaster with the darts that they came with, but then we're going to swap the darts that they came with and test them with the opponent's ammo. That way, if there are any weaknesses in the dart type, it doesn't negatively reflect on the blaster itself. All right, let's get out there. Starting with the Clipmania on XShot darts, we had a high of 95 FPS, the low of 83 FPS, an average of 89, and a spread of 12 FPS. When we switched to its opponent's ammo type, we had high of 87 FPS, a low of 85 FPS, an average of 87 FPS, and a spread of 2. When we take the Spectrum out with its own ammo type, it had a high of 91 FPS, a low of 87 FPS, an average of 89 FPS, and a spread of 4. When we switch the Spectrum over to the XShot ammo, we have a high of 106 FPS, a low of 74 FPS, an average of 84 FPS, and a spread of 32. Alright, when it comes to the FPS section, both of these blasters are shooting well above the 70 FPS Elite standard. But in my opinion, the winner here is going to be the XShot blaster. Though both blasters shot well with their own ammo, the XShot managed to shoot consistently with both ammo types. However, it is worth noting that this blaster had the highest overall shot when it used the XShot's ammo, and having 106 FPS out of either of these blasters is crazy. However, this blaster just became so much more sporadic. 30 FPS spread is like going from 60% to 100% power. But now that we've seen how hard both of these blasters shoot, it's time to see how accurately these shoot. And when we back things up to 35 feet, the XShot blaster on its own ammo made 3 out of the 5 shots on the target. When switching to the Spectrum's ammo, the XShot Clipmania got 0 out of 5 targets. Now the Spectrum on its own ammo got 3 out of 5 shots onto the target, while it scored a perfect 5 out of 5 when it used the XShot's ammo. While both blasters scored the same 3 out of 5 on their own ammo types, the winner here has got to be the Spectrum. The Spectrum scored better with its opponent's ammo than it even did with its own ammo, which is really the opposite of what we saw in the FPS test, which is kind of unusual and unexpected. Now, both blasters seem to be on center from left to right. But what we were seeing is that vertically we were having the most issues, which suggests lack of efficient power to actually make it to the goal, and something that a little arcing could have probably fixed. Straight shots only for this testing though. Now it's time to talk about accessories and compatibility. First up is the Xshot. For accessories, this blaster comes with 3 mags, and all 3 of those mags have a 15 round capacity. In addition to that, you can carry loose ammo that are not in mags on you with this. However, this I find to be more of a gimmick and not usually all that useful. And I will say, while these are very cool attachments, they are very loose and I don't really trust them all that much. That being said, the interchangeability with this and the rest of the Insanity line is super cool, and you can definitely add those to all of the other items you can get within that line.
To the scopes, I've also attached here another aim point scope because, I'm a fan of aim points, and just in case, all the other scopes fail, I've got this one out here for that extra close range. I can come right up here, choke up on the weapon.
On top of that, this has third-party compatibility because of the rail style that Xshot has gone with for the Insanity series. Being that it's a faux Picatinny rail, you can actually use accessories from third-party companies, not just toy companies, but in some instances, real steel components. An example of a good item from the Xshot series is you can use this big scope from the Ragefire. And I think it perfectly fits the aesthetic and also that kind of interesting level change between the Picatinny rail and the actual sight. You can also use Dart Zone iron sights or scopes. This is from the Nexus Pro X. But you can also use airsoft and real steel sights like the one I have here on my Tactical Unicorn.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And you can also use hobby and real steel foregrips to completely transform the look and feel of your blaster. Man, that's comfortable. And of course, you can use your favorite Nerf branded stock attachments because of that end strike attachment point. But you can also use buffer tube stocks because of this. This one right here is from the Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.2. Now, both blasters are compatible with each other's magazines. And they're both compatible with any other magazines that I tried, including this one from Busby, or this gigantic 50 round one from Nerf. However, only the Spectrum struggles a little bit with Nerf branded mags that have this little nub right here, because it contacts the release. With a little bit of force pushing that way, you can still take it out. It's just not as easy as it is with the Xshot. But in terms of mags, they basically have the same compatibility. As for the Spectrum, it comes with only 10 darts and 1 mag that holds only 10 rounds in it, but it does come with some extras that the Xshot doesn't come with, like a foregrip included in the box, or this scope. And although it doesn't have compatibility with the real steel and more modern options, this blaster does have compatibility with some other accessories with this rail type here. Unfortunately, this part right here is proprietary, which is a bummer. Oh, man. And the only other stock that I think is compatible with this one would be the one from the Adventure Force Villainator. So when it comes to accessories and compatibility, I think the winner has got to be the XShot Clipmania. The choice to include the standard Picatinny rail-esque really opens up modern compatibility options, along with the compatibility it has with its own ecosystem of Insanity series things. On top of that, the inclusion of an end strike attachment point really opens up options for both buffer tube stocks and stocks with the end strike attachment point, and there are a ton of those, both from Nerf and from other manufacturers. This is definitely a compatibility with more past options, while this is more compatibility with future options. And overall, the Clipmania just comes with so much more out of the box on top of being the more compatible blaster. Though I will say some of the issues with compatibility can be fixed with modification to this blaster. That's something we'll talk about more in the mod potential section. Now it's time to talk about aesthetics and ergonomics. how the blaster looks and feels to hold. In terms of aesthetics, I think that the Xshot blaster has the better body lines, there's more flow to them and angularity, and it gives off a strong sci-fi vibe. And overall, this blaster is the more comfortable option of the two. I like the placement of the foregrip and handguard, and I think the grip is very comfortable as well. Although it does still feel good to use, I will say that the stock is probably the cheapest feeling portion of this blaster. Now, the Spectrum, in my opinion, looks a little bit mixed matched on the aesthetics, and silly, but not in a good way. And I think most of that aesthetic mix match look comes from this muzzle front end here. Now, you can get rid of this, but that is something we'll have to talk about in the mod section. Also, this foregrip is not very good. You can just rip it right off. And it would have scored higher if this just stayed in place like it should, because this is a cool feature. Overall, surprisingly, this blaster between the two is also the creakier feeling one. But I will say that other than that, this blaster does feel pretty good from an ergonomic perspective, and without the foregrip, it is still pretty comfortable at an angle. Plus, the trigger pull on this blaster feels superior. Now, this is a very subjective category to be judging these blasters on, and your preferences may differ from mine. But if we had to pick one, it's got to be the Xshot blaster. While both blasters feel relatively comfortable and have their own strengths and weaknesses, in terms of advantages, I think this one has a better trigger pull, and that's pretty much it. This one right here doesn't have a good of a trigger pull, but it looks better right out of the box, and its native compatibility with aftermarket accessories without any modification allows you to change some of the aesthetics and ergonomics to better fit your preferences. Now let's talk about the final section, mod potential. These blasters both have a ton of modding potential. However, they're in very different places in their life cycles. Now, the Spectrum has been out for years, so there are plenty of established mods for this blaster. There are master keys to integrate different types of ammo. You can either saw this part off yourself or do a 3D printed muzzle delete to improve the aesthetics. There are also full body kits to turn this into like pulse rifle looking items. There's also a 3D printed Picatinny rail that you can replace this rail with. And I think I've even seen a foregrip meant specifically to attach to this part to improve that. Plus, there's also an N-Strike adapter here that allows you to go from this proprietary stock attachment point to the N-Strike attachment point, or even a buffer tube with another adapter after that, similar to the one that comes with the Xshot. Plus, you can convert this blaster to short darts like the Pro blasters, and if you're looking for power,
Can I get a more power, baby?
you can even throw a 200 FPS Banshee cage in here, assuming you're willing to do a full rewire. On the flip side of that, the Xshot blaster is very, very early in its life cycle because it's brand new. It's barely hitting store shelves, which means that there are a ton of mods that are going to come out for it that aren't out yet. But I can guarantee that we're gonna see full body kits, cage replacements, short dart conversions, all of the above for this blaster as well. And as long as Band Blasters makes a Banshee cage for this blaster, I believe that this blaster will meet or exceed the mod potential of the Spectrum. In fact, I'm actually working on a kit for this blaster myself. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to find out more about that in a future video. Now that we've compared these blasters head to head on all 6 categories, what are my final thoughts? Well, I think that both blasters are excellent full-length blasters, and I don't think you could go wrong with either one. $20 for this one or $25 for this one. But if I had to choose only one, it's gotta be the Xshot. As a platform, this blaster just has better styling and compatibility with third-party options that are more modern. Right out of the box, it's more customizable, but it also has a perceived higher mod potential because of how young in its life cycle is. Although it doesn't have as much mod support as the Spectrum does right now, I think we're gonna see more and more mods coming out as the days, weeks, and months go on. And a year from now, it will be the same or better. Plus, it packs in a hell of a value with all of the mags and darts that it comes with, and you'd pay more than the $5 difference to get as many mags for this as you would for the Spectrum, and they still wouldn't have as high of a capacity. That being said, if you're looking for the absolute cheapest option, then obviously the Spectrum is gonna be your choice. In addition to that, if you don't want to wait for perceived mods and you want to pick up a platform you can mod to its full potential right now, then the Spectrum might also be for you. Let me know down in the comments which of these 2 blasters you plan on picking up, or if you already have them. If you're like me, of course, you're just gonna get both. And if you like these head-to-head style videos, make sure you mag dump that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell. That way you don't miss when the next one we do comes out. Well, that's pretty much all I have for you today, and until the next time on the King of Games, have a blast.